Welcome in a new video to talk about real estate with Realtor Aya. This video important to answer buyer question when they ask why my closing cost different than my friend or family purchased house before a year, or the same year they purchased property but they have different closing costs. Why I'm paying X while they pay Y. First, let's understand what's closing cost. So the closing cost, it's amount of money, fees you're gonna be charged at closing, and you're gonna receive a document, has list of all expenses that combine together to make this closing cost. Closing cost different from buyer to other, and that's normal because it rely on the house's price, the taxes on the property. If you purchase using a mortgage, so there is a lending fee, or if you purchase by cash. There is plenty of cases different from buyer to others. So definitely you're gonna see different closing costs. Also, we don't want to forget using different lender, different banks, there is different fee applied with each mortgage, the loan type, if you purchasing point or not, how much the down payment you're gonna put on your property that you are purchasing. All these fee gonna be combined and at the end gonna show you total amount for borrowers to pay at closing, and this is the closing cost. And here I'm going to show you a few examples. So this is example for seller cash deal closing cost fee. The house price, it's 105. Like cash deal, the owner here did pay around, let's say 3,000 as a closing cost because he paid part of the commission. In this deal, the seller and the buyer split the agent commission. So each party paid 1,500, let's say the total commission, 3,000 in this case. They paid also for the title insurance and the closing fee. It was very simple. They did not have a mortgage on a property and the purchase by cash. The purchaser did not use a lender and there is no loan process fee or appraiser or any of that. So you see the closing cost here, very minimum. And this is statement for the same deal for the buyer, the house price, and this is the closing statement. You see it's coming paper like that and has table all the fees, and down below it show you the total amount, how much you're gonna pay. So the house price 105, end up the buyer paying 107, so around $3,000 between agent fee and closing costs and title closing. This is cash deal again, and there was no tax involved here because the taxes was paid before that. So this is, let's say, minimum case for closing costs, and I'll show you other closing statement for someone purchased using a loan. So here what you see, closing costs for someone purchased using a mortgage. Also the house's price different. The other house was 105. This property sold for 293,000. The loan amount 273 for the buyer. How much cash you have as a down payment you're gonna pay. Here you see the title search, the loan process fee, checking the record, when the lender gonna check for your credit score, pulling the record. All these simple fee combined together at the end to give you the total closing cost for buyer. And in this deal, it cost the buyer around 9,000 as a closing cost between buying a point, taking a mortgage, paying for the loan process, paying for home insurance, paying for the property tax, paying for recording the deed. In this deal, the buyer did not pay commission, the seller paid the commission, so they did not pay anything. So you see, it's different, depend on the house price and the fees and how much down payment the owner gonna have. About the insurance company, like they used certain insurance company has different costs. So it's absolutely normal to have different closing costs from buyer to other, even if you purchased in the same year. Depend on the loan type again, depend on how much down payment you added, depend on the title company you are using, the insurance company you are using, and all that, the lender fee, if it's cash or if it's by mortgage. All these things, it's make different. Also, if someone, let's say, had a down payment assistance program or a grant, maybe that's gonna help him subtract all these fees so he pay less at the end, during closing. So it's normal, don't surprise, but everything should be explained for you. Definitely prior to closing, there is nothing surprised. You're not gonna be surprised by numbers at closing day. That's why when you go firstly to apply for a mortgage and check with lender, most likely they're gonna check for your affordability. They're gonna ask you how much down payment you wanna put. Let's say if house $200,000, how much down payment you have from this price if you approved for this limit. You're gonna decide if you can put 3%, 3.5%, 5%, or 20%, depend on the cash you have. And closing costs depend again on the property price and the taxes for the property. So all these things gonna be explained to you up front. That's why I highly recommend always for buyer, first have consultation with professional agent, explain for you all details. Then you connect with lender. If you purchase a property using a mortgage with lender, you gonna say truly what's your affordability, and they will explain for you the cost for the loan process and closing costs, and they will see how much down payment you want to put, and they will give you the estimate for how much your closing cost could be, include your down payment. I hope that's a very clear explanation for you to understand what's closing costs and why different from buyer to others. If you need real estate service, professional agent to work with in selling or buying, whether for residential or investment, reach out to me. I would love to work with you. Always we start with a free consultation, then we can go from there.